Welcome back to the United Pubcast, the podcast of the official Man United Supporters Club here in Sydney. And I just looked at the calendar and it's the 1st of May, Larry. And growing up, that was a time for Manchester United fans looking forward to the title run-in and big sort of cup finals and sort of must-win matches during the run-in. And here we are with a game at Old Trafford at home to Brentford. And looking, well, do we want to finish fifth or what happens if we finish eighth? Do we actually want eighth over fifth? So it is a weird time for a Manchester United fan, or I say that. It's sort of been the case for about 10 years. But been a while since we spoke. So first tell me how you are and then also how you're feeling ahead of the big, big game at Old Trafford? The game at Old Trafford, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. And good evening to everyone in watching the video and in the comments as well. Always nice to see everyone. It's a weird time to be a United fan. In terms of the Chelsea performance, I thought United looked second rate. I don't like the amount of space we gave Reece James. I know he's getting a lot of plaudits as one of the most dangerous, and he's part of the evolution of what we're seeing in the modern fullback. In terms of the actual performance, I thought United were second best. In saying that, we managed to scupper a draw, and the problem, he can't stop scoring goals. I think Roy Keane summed it up brilliantly. I loved his comment post-game. He's like, look at that problem, scoring goals. Oh, he's an issue, isn't he? I guess there's not really much to add in terms of your commentary around where do United finish. It's kind of sad we find ourselves in this really strange position. In terms of form, mate, talking about Brentford, they're fourth in the Premier League at the moment when you're talking about form. Looking at it now, they've won 4 of the last 6 games. Last start draw, but they're in a good run of form. So it won't be an easy game.
No, definitely. Well, I'll get into sort of what we expect from Brentford from our point of view, but also our manager's point of view, obviously, when we do the starting 11s. But I'll just say g'day to some legends in the live chat. There's obviously a lot of patience shown by them in the build-up to this preview, so thank you to all. Josh, it's always good to see you. Emad as well. Check out Emad. I might put a link in the description. Got a new channel with Adam, the ManCave United. I was just on there a little bit earlier doing a Brentford preview, so go give them a subscribe. Always good to see you. Dion, evening everyone except anyone and all Newcastle Knights players. So, Larry, can you give me a bit of a rugby league update? Is that something to do with the Bulldogs or Knights, or what's happening there?
Yeah, Newcastle got absolutely flogged today. They now sit pretty at the bottom of the ladder, and the Bulldogs have gone off the bottom of the ladder. So there's your little NRL update.
Well, you've picked all the right sporting teams. Good to see. George, as always, good evening, guys. How good is Fat Frank starting? I'm staring blankly at relegation. Well, that is my main focus tonight, Everton in the relegation battle. Emad knows all about my tub of ice cream last night when Liverpool took the lead. But I'll probably dip into that tub of ice cream again after, I don't know who Everton are playing. Who Everton got? Everton, Chelsea as well, 11, of course, at 11 o'clock. So I'll definitely be tuned in for that. And I think we'll touch on that maybe at the end of the podcast. So there are many more in the live chat who I don't get to. Apologies. But good to have everyone here. Make sure you do get your thoughts in the live chat in regards to who should play, who shouldn't play, and obviously all things Brentford as well, because there are 2 teams to discuss. And Brentford probably, as you say, we'll just quickly touch on them, Larry, but you alluded to in regards to their form, and obviously they beat Chelsea a few weeks ago, and not just beat them, but beat them quite convincingly. But they have been one of these teams this year that are just, I wouldn't say a second team for everyone, but obviously a newly promoted team, had that fantastic start of the season against Arsenal, beating them on opening day of the season, and they're just sort of ticking along nicely. And it's not going to shock you if they come and get 3 points at Old Trafford. When they went to Stamford Bridge, okay, it is a shock that they beat Chelsea, but not really. You kind of see that coming. So they are a decent little team, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And I like the philosophy that Brentford adopt as a football club in terms of their transfer strategy is really interesting. They deploy a recruitment strategy known as Moneyball. It's similar to what RB Leipzig do in terms of their recruitment, and we've seen how good the German side have been in terms of getting cheap deals over the line. And the thing with Brentford, it's been a progressive progression in terms of, they've gone up and up and up and found themselves in the Premiership. And they've held their own, to be fair. I think they sit about 14th in the table. I think a lot of people had them tipped to go down and even finish last. So you have to say they've done well. Not just that. I think when you're a side that comes up, the tendency would be to be safe. Brentford play front foot football. They're always looking to attack teams. They look to score goals. We saw that in the reverse fixture against Brentford. So like we said, it's not going to be an easy game, and they will definitely come at us. And they got a few good players, I think it could be said. I could even make an argument that if you put some of their players in our side, maybe we're better.
That was my next question. I just want to keep me up on that point. Just a comment here from Ryan. Even all United need to go and get Ward-Prowse in the summer, massively underrated and possibly best set piece taker in world football right now. And I just want to take that back to your point, Larry, not so much on Ward-Prowse. You talk about players from Brentford potentially coming into Manchester United. I'm not saying this is the case. Weird story, Christian Eriksen. Personally, I don't buy this story at the moment. However, it is interesting because obviously he has an Ajax link, and obviously not with Ten Hag, but a previous Ajax player. I'm just thinking he has come into Brentford halfway through the season, and obviously a unique situation of unfortunate circumstances, what happened to him during the Euros. So a player goes to Brentford mid-season, it's a nothing story. But off the back of Christian Eriksen news going to Brentford, it was this big story and a lot of media attention around it. So Christian Eriksen's time at Brentford so far has obviously been very good for Brentford. Brentford are very happy with him. Is this a discussion Manchester United to be in, considering the players we're going to lose in that area of the pitch, whether Jesse Lingard or Juan Mata, Paul Pogba? And you can argue in terms of what anyone's opinion is on a Bruno Fernandes or other players in that area of the pitch. Is this story around Manchester United and Christian Eriksen just based off the media attention around him, or is this someone that could fit a Ten Hag system and is a player we should be looking at? Because I don't think he's someone, or maybe you know, Larry, let me know how old Christian Eriksen is. He's 30, so is there something in this story, or is it just a little bit of, look, I've lost count of how many players have been linked to so far, but there seems to be something in it maybe.
He's not a bad player. I think that's always fair to say. And he is a free kick specialist. He plays a good intense style. I just think back to his Tottenham days, easily one of their better players. It was always, now it's the Son and Harry Kane show, but earlier it was a trio, and you throw Christian Eriksen into that argument. If United want to use him as a squad player, I think he'd be perfect for that. He's got good creativity, good vision, has a high work rate, which, if you think about what Erik ten Hag or the profile of an Erik ten Hag player, I could see him definitely fitting in. He's not going to come in to make the 11 stronger, but I absolutely think he makes the squad stronger. And like you said, with the likes of Jesse Lingard, Juan Mata definitely leaving, there's two number 10s who are on the periphery of the squad anyway. You want to be able to bring players in who can actually deploy. I would feel comfortable if Bruno Fernandes is being rested or is out of form for a Christian Eriksen. I think you would share my sentiments there. So if you look at it that way, I think it makes a lot of sense. The other thing is he'd be on a free. I'm certain it was a very short-term deal with Brentford. So it makes sense financially as well.
Look, I agree. I wouldn't be going down that trap, but I agree with your words there. And George saying squad play, if we need extra numbers, Matter 2.0 shows up 7 out of 10 each week. And that's where I would, and again, my bias aside, I understand no bias in it. I would stick with Juan Mata. I know he's a few years older than Christian Eriksen, but you'd obviously have a sign-on fee if you join it. Obviously, that's not a financial restriction to the club, but I just think I like the player. I like the signing. He does add depth, but I think we have the depth there. I'm not keeping Jesse Lingard or Juan Mata, but I think there's far more sort of pressing issues in the squad. But talking about the squad, and we're going to get into team selection in a little bit and one or two other sort of talking points around the match. But this is a weird one. Obviously, our last game at Old Trafford this season. So obviously, unfortunate circumstances. We're playing for nothing, or are we playing for something? How is sort of the players and manager going into this game in regarding the importance of it? Like, do they see an importance in Europa League over Conference League or no European football, or their personal pride? Like, where is their motivation going into this game? But also, as we've just talked up Brentford a little bit here, we're all sitting here and you can see from the title of the podcast saying, play the kids. Is Ralph Rangnick thinking that, or is he thinking, hang on, if I play the kids, we might get absolutely pumped? Is this still a football match where we've seen Brentford a couple of weeks ago absolutely smash Chelsea? Hang on, if we take this game lightly, we might be on the receiving end of not a battering at Old Trafford, but losing the match at Old Trafford. So is there a case we're all screaming and making the almost correct case in saying play all these young players, give them their debuts? But maybe the actual correct answer is go as strong as you can.
It's a really difficult one to make because if you look at what United's strongest side is, well, the strongest side has shown us they don't really perform. So yeah. I'm all for bringing in a kid, to be honest. I would actually look at it the other way, and I would say if you look at Louis van Gaal's final season at Manchester United, at the start of the season, no one knew who Marcus Rashford is. And by the end of the season, he was playing number 9. He was one of the first names on the team sheet. So I think it can always be a fluid situation. At the end of the day, Marcus Rashford's, no guarantee of a good performance. I can't tell you the last time I saw one from him. So, if you're talking about the likes of Alejandro Garnacho getting an opportunity, I think that's a very valid argument. When we talk about playing the kids, and I know you agree with me on this, is if you can bring in 2 or 3 with a blend of experience, I think you've got the perfect blend there. Of course, if you play the under-23s, well, then Brentford are going to look like a prime Barcelona, aren't they?
Well, most teams do look like prime Barcelona against us, to be fair, but we will go to start 11, and I'll just bring yours up here and talk me through it, because obviously I think we're both included Alvaro Fernandez, and it's a weird one because I don't think that'll happen. Obviously, he hasn't got his debut. Garnacho's had not even 2 minutes on the pitch, so I can't see Fernandez getting his sort of starting debut as well as Garnacho. But you've included the left winger as well. How much of this is a prediction / your preference? Obviously, Nemanja Matic is playing again. Can he play 2 games in a week? It's his last appearance at Old Trafford. Is Ralph Rangnick going to cave to the likes of Nemanja Matic in one matter and giving them one last run out in front of the fans? And just talk me through your 11.
It's Brentford. I think you have to play football. They will play football. I can tell you that much. So I think United need to forget about protecting their defense, because regardless of despite Ralph Rangnick's efforts, we can't keep a clean sheet to save our lives. So for me, go for the game. Grab the game by the scruff of the neck and go score goals. Now, obviously, it's a very attacking midfield there with Matic, Bruno, and Mata. I think Bruno and Mata play really good football together. We saw that when the Portuguese first arrived at Old Trafford. So I would go for that. And Mata, every time he comes on time, there's an argument to be he's the best player on the field. Play him from the get-go. He links the play together. He'll keep the ball well. He's Bruno Fernandes, but with a better pass completion. You know what I mean? Like, sure, maybe not as in terms of hitting it from wherever, but that's exactly what you need, someone to keep the ball. Garnacho, he's the unknown. And, well, if we don't know anything about him, well, you can bet Brentford don't. So Marcus Rashford's going to give the ball away. I'll tell you that for free. So throw a kid in there. He's high on confidence. He's got the Youth Cup final in a couple of weeks. So what a massive boost it would be for him to play at Old Trafford in front of a full stadium or close to a full stadium and show us what you can do.
That's a very good shout in regards to FA Youth Cup final, and sort of like a player like Fernandez or a Hannibal. Actually, Hannibal won't be eligible for it, I don't think. But Garnacho will obviously be eligible. He's the main player for the under-18s this season, the FA Cup run. So given that experience, because it looks like that FA Cup final, they're going to have 50,000 people there or 40,000 people there. So it will be very beneficial for him. I'm just thinking, I'll bring mine up and I'll spend 3 seconds on it. You're preaching to the converted in regards to one matter. Yes, of course, I'd play him. And my 11 here is exactly the same. Wan-Bissaka and Delo, coin flip. I can't tell the difference at the moment. Every time I see Delo play at the moment, I think, oh, maybe we should give Wan-Bissaka a chance. Every time I see Wan-Bissaka play, I think, oh, maybe we should give Delo more chances. So flip of a coin for me. The reason I got Wan-Bissaka, I saw some stats with him midweek in regards to comparing him to other fullbacks around the league. And he's actually quite good. Now, yes, I'm not going to be judging a player by their stats. It's the eye test they need to pass, in my opinion. But I've always made that opinion with Aaron Wan-Bissaka, that as bad as he looks going forward, effectively he probably isn't as bad as he looks. So, and it's one where Diogo Dalot looks a fantastic footballer. But I think he flatters deceive at times a little bit. And just on you discussing Bruno Fernandes, and look, is topic number one a lot of the time amongst Manchester United fans. Interesting one here with Dion here. Bruno gives the ball away constantly. Rashford stands there. Can it really be that much worse? I'm just thinking, if you had to weigh up, because everyone's okay, drop him, or if you're going to drop him, you have to drop him. What's worse for you in regards to a Bruno Fernandes situation or a Marcus Rashford situation? Let's say Bruno Fernandes is given a typical Bruno performance. Every time he gets the ball, he gives it away. He's risking it too much and there's nothing there, but the energy's there. Now, we can discuss his energy and running around is stupid in regards to the areas he goes and presses in, but regardless of how stupid he is, there's effort there. There's something there. Where do you prefer that in terms of his carelessness with the ball? If you had to pick one in your team, that carelessness with the ball and stupidity, absolute brain-dead stupidity at times, or a Marcus Rashford situation where he might have the ability to sort of provide a threat and be able to stretch the defence in regards to the attributes he has, but then ultimately the absolute lack of desire and work rate. So if you had to pick one in the team, where are you sitting at the moment?
Oh, it's really difficult. Sorry, is this the Lengar that you're referring to? Lengar and Rashford?
No, Bruno and Rashford, because Bruno at the moment, in how frustrating he is giving the ball away, but then also that frustration of someone not working for the team, where Bruno does work. Obviously, we can question the stupidity sometimes of his working for the team, but ultimately someone running or someone not running, where he's standing on those two at the moment.
Well, you and I had a bit of a spat about Scott McTominay, but where I will agree with the point that you're making is he gives absolute 100%. Now, that should be a prerequisite, but unfortunately, that's not the case. So, in terms of who do you pick, Bruno Fernandes gives 100% every time he's on the pitch. This commentary around, these players don't care. Bruno Fernandes cares. You can see that every time he plays. He's frustrating. He gives the ball away, but it doesn't mean he doesn't care. So given he is one of the very few players in this current side who displaying a bit of pride in the shirt, then for me, Bruno starts. The other thing is we just gave him a long-term deal. He's here for another 5 years. I don't think it sends the right message to start benching the Portuguese. And I think that's ultimately the issue. Look, Bruno Fernandes, just like the rest of this side, Tom, struggling with confidence. He's going through a difficult time. He sent the goalkeeper the wrong way the other week. He hits the post like a few more inches. That's a penalty. We potentially win the game. It's a different story. That's just the sort of season we're having at the moment. And despite all of that, by the way, 14 assists this season. Not bad. You know what I mean? I just think ride it out. It's frustrating, but at least the effort's there. He'll come good with the right coaching next season. I think we'll see a completely new player. Season's dead. I'd rather see some guys who actually give a damn, though.
Yeah. Look, definitely a show for another day. But before I get a quick sort of score prediction, which I don't like, this is another one for a separate time when the season finishes. But George here, what's a good price for Marcus Rashford? Let's not get into a full debate. Should he go? Should he stay? Transfer market, you decide to get rid of Marcus Rashford. What are you thinking? I don't know his contract situation. I assume he's probably got 3 years left on a deal, probably. That's a complete guess. Let's say that standard time left on a contract. What's his value? One, to Manchester United, but also what you'd be willing to sell him for.
Well, that's difficult. 2 years. Well, he have 2 years left on his deal in the summer, I believe. Oh, 1 year, but an option in United's favour. So 2 years. The problem is because he's had such a poor season. For me, I'm going to be wrong no matter what I say. I would say around the 60 million mark.
I was saying 50, 60.
Yeah, because he's still young. He's got ability. He's just obviously not showing it at the moment. He's English, and he plays for the biggest club.
My fear is, though, I think the club would value him at 150.
Well, they probably do. They probably do. But the reality is no one's going to pay that for him. I think well, the other side is what clubs would be interested. That's the thing. If I look at PSG, if Mbappe goes, he's obviously not as good as Mbappe, but similar types of players. I could see them wanting him. Barcelona, even you could make an argument for.
There's this one here, Matt says Rashford for De Jong, and there's that De Jong story, which Xavi has spoken about it as well, and there might not be too much in it, but there's a former Ajax player who's worked with Ten Hag. Man United need a midfielder, so obviously the De Jong discussion is there. The only reason I don't buy that story is because if you read that whole story, they're going to offer 3 players. Alex Telles, yeah, you could see Telles at Barcelona. Yeah, you could see Marcus Rashford at Barcelona. Harry Maguire. Like, even if Harry Maguire was playing his best football and he was the world's best centre-back, Barcelona's still not going to buy him. He's not a Barcelona centre-back. He's not living in Spain playing at the Nou Camp. That's just for his own benefit and Barcelona's benefit. That's never going to happen. So I'm not sure where that story came from. But look, Barcelona is definitely a destination. And you look at Aubameyang, he's tearing it up in Barcelona. You'd actually expect in regards to, I don't think there's a bigger field in European football than the Nou Camp. I think it would suit Marcus Rashford down to the ground in regards to the way Barcelona play and how big they make the field. I think it might actually suit him. Again, I don't think Barcelona are going to pay that money, and I don't think Manchester United would accept anything sort of a lower fee. I think they do want to sort of not recoup their money on Marcus Rashford, but sort of get what they value him at, that player at. So, score prediction. Look, we hate these score predictions, and I don't think we've got one right this season, to be fair, or especially in the last couple of weeks. Brentford, surely we'll win. You've got to say 2-1 United. Can't say a clean sheet, but you're relatively confident of a win?
The mood Ronaldo's in, his form, that gives me confidence. And I think if Ronaldo can score early, which I'll tip him to do now because he's in that sort of mood, like I said. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm thinking 2-1 United as well.
Fingers crossed. Now, before we go on, I just want to touch on the protests before we wrap up because that's obviously a huge story around Manchester United at the moment and this Brentford game. And we'll discuss maybe if it has an impact on that game and that last 15 or 17 minutes or so. But before that, I was talking to Emad and Adam a little bit earlier about this is the last game at Old Trafford this season, Larry, and tradition at Manchester. And I assume all clubs, but especially Old Trafford. We all know the last game at Old Trafford, the players do a lap of honour. Now, that lap of honour in recent seasons has turned to more of a lap of appreciation for the fans rather than celebrating what they've seen on the pitch. But there is a lap of honour where the captain speaks in front of the fans at Old Trafford. They do the lap of honour, then they walk off. That has been a sort of sombre occasion in recent years. They've obviously had no trophy to walk around the field. And I'm just getting your opinion now, and you can tie the protest in regards to this, in regards to maybe there might not be fans in there in the last 15 minutes of the match. But let's say it's a full house. And whatever the result against Brentford, let's say it's a draw, even a win. But there's obviously a downbeat mood around Old Trafford. Juan Mata has spoken about he obviously came in halfway through the season in David Moyes' season, and he was worried when they doing that at the end of the season. He thought there was going to be a negative reaction from the fans, but he spoke about no matter how bad they were, when they were doing that lap of honour, the fans were very supportive of the players. And look, the Old Trafford crowd is a very different sort of demographic and sort of noise compared to a lot of the online noise we see on Twitter. But obviously there is huge frustration around Old Trafford at the moment. I'm just thinking Harry Maguire picks up a microphone or Ralph Rangnick picks up a microphone and starts addressing the fans after the game. I don't know how the fans would react. Like I'd like to think it would be positive and respectful, but I'm not sure. Do you think the club would actually abandon that sort of? Let's say we lose to Brentford. Do you think the club would actually sort of not actually do it, or it's a weird one?
Who knows? I think to be safe, if I was in charge of public relations for Manchester United, I wouldn't be giving a microphone to Harry Maguire. He's got such a bad relationship with the fans at the moment. And you know what? I don't even think it has anything to do with his performances. Some of his commentary, some of the comments he's made in the media, I think it's really rubbed a lot of fans the wrong way, Tom. And look, I truthfully do believe United fans, particularly the match-going fans, are some of the best in the world. United fans are very respectful. But in saying that, I just think with Harry Maguire, some of the comments he's made, he's in a bit of trouble, mate. I wouldn't be giving him a microphone. Look, he'll probably be sitting there telling us how he deserves to start.
Look, I completely agree. However, let's say, look, he might be on the bench. He might not even play. Let's say he is on the bench and he comes on or he starts or whatever, and we do have it. Could you see a situation? I know that's your opinion on what should happen, but let's say Ronaldo's there, Harry Maguire's got the armband though. They'll just give it to Ronaldo, wouldn't they? And what would that say? What message? We all know what it would say, but actually seeing that physical message of someone else, not the captain addressing the fans, scary situation for Maguire, I think.
It is, but look, if I'm being honest with you, if you're a betting man, do you think he'll be captain next season? I don't.
I said a couple of weeks ago, I think he will. And look, the last couple of weeks, I've been very excited about the Ten Hag appointment, but also a little bit more hesitant than a lot of fans. A lot of fans saying, yeah, here's the change and everything's going to be sort of, we're on the right track, we're turning the corner. And I'm very reluctant. And I know a few things have changed in regards to the football department, and Matt Judge has left and this has changed. And I am sharing all that excitement, but I need to see results. And not so much results in regards to 3 points or trophies. I need to see, okay, not just the words, okay, this player's got a new contract or this player's coming in, or, okay, this is their new job title. And that's what they're going to try to achieve for the club. So all great words at the moment under Richard Arnold and John Murter and Darren Fletcher and Ten Hag and Rangnick, all sounds good. I need to see it in action. Now, I don't want to be sort of negative around it, but at the moment, a couple of weeks ago, I said Harry Maguire will be captain. At the moment, my current feeling is no, of course not. Everything's changed at the moment. He won't be captain. But I might have to stand by my original stance a couple of weeks ago that he will be captain next year.
He will oversee United's worst ever performance in the Premier League.
Yeah.
On top of all the commentary, again, his position in the media, the way he's performed this season, I honestly think it's beyond repair. I really do.
Look, I agree. I agree. And like my thoughts have turned on Harry Maguire in recent weeks, and especially in regards to that off-field stuff and the sort of relationship with the fans. But I just need to see it. It's hard for a manager. I think it'll be great of Erik Ten Hag to go in there and change things. Say, okay, Harry Maguire, still part of my plans. He's still going to be a defender for me. Not if I agree with that or don't agree with that. But it'll be great to see him come in and do that if he's not going to be able to sell him. However, Harry, I wanted to take the armband off you. Okay, you're struggling there a little bit. I want you to focus on your football. I'll give it to Cristiano for a season. And I think that's the almost first order of business for Ten Hag. But I'm hesitant to believe that's going to be the case.
You want good PR? Give a microphone to Ronaldo. That's what I'd be doing. 100%.
Yeah.
The fans.
Well, that's the thing. Look, I hope they do it because they do need to thank the fans because they haven't sort of provided the thanks in regards to performances. So they need to stand up in front of them before they leave the Old Trafford pitch. And sort of, it used to be we used to clap the players in the lap of honour. That's what it was. They used to hold a trophy and walk around, and it was the fans thanking the players. Now that lap of honour has changed to us thanking the fans for staying in the ground for 90 minutes. However, in that, they're not staying in the ground for 90 minutes potentially here. Obviously, the protests ahead of the game, the 1958 group has sort of alluded to they're going to be walking out of the stadium in the 73rd minute. 17 years the Glazers have obviously been in charge. Do you think this will have a visual effect in regards to what we've seen? Okay, people have been outside the ground before kickoff and on the TV. I can't tell the difference. then after 15 minutes, you obviously see one or two people trickle in when the camera focuses on them. Could you see a visual thing here where you see a lot of red empty seats?
You know what? I think this is a smarter move than everyone walking in at the start of a game, because there'll be chants, stand up if you hate Glazers, walk out if you hate Glazers. It might be something like that. And then you could see en masse people watching other people get up and go. And they've got a little bit of momentum. I have to say, I did notice a bit more patches in the stadium against Chelsea. So it has to say it had and Chelsea's a bigger game than who was it against first time around, Norwich. So you have to say, I think they are gathering some momentum, this group, the 58 group. And I think if you're ever going to make a statement, and the thing is, from a UK perspective, this game's being televised. The Norwich game wasn't in the UK. Yep. So I can understand the impacts that they're looking for. If you want to make a statement, now's the time. Last game at Old Trafford, if you're going to do it, now's the time. You're hoping for that impact. You want that visual because you want the Glazers to feel the pressure.
I think that's the thing. And look, the pressure is a hard one because obviously you have to have a motive and you have to have an idea of what you want to achieve from a protest. And ultimately, I don't think the Glazers will be notified of this protest even if 50,000, well, obviously 50,000 did leave, but if 20,000 people walk out of the stadium, I don't think the Glazers will be notified. But where the pressure is applied is a sponsor saying, oh, hang on, why are there empty seats in this game? We're paying you top dollar. And this isn't the greatest advertisement. So that is where pressure is applied in regards to these protests. But my counter argument, unfortunately, to that, Larry, would be, do you agree with that? Do you think sponsors are bothered? Because what I saw a couple of years ago behind closed doors, I think football can cope quite well without fans. I think it's a drop in the ocean in regards to what season tickets and sort of ticket sales are for clubs these days. I think the majority of the money is that TV money, and I don't think TV ratings were through the roof during COVID. Even when everyone was struggling financially, Sky Sports were charging £15 to watch Brentford or Southampton against Norwich, whoever. That was the type of thing. So I think football clubs and TV companies can survive without fans. So I like the pressure we're going to apply. These fans are going to apply on the club by sort of showing this empty seats sort of signal. However, will United feel the pressure? Sadly, I probably think not. That's not to say I don't agree with the protest, but I'm just...
Oh, well, you got to think bigger picture, Tom. United have sponsors. There's billboards, the electric billboards that run out on the stadium, on the pitch. It hurts. If you're a sponsor, you're paying this club 45, 50 million pounds per year or in that region. And then you start seeing fans walking out. Yeah. It hurts. And that's the thing. It's not just about, sure, the Glazers will survive. Manchester United will survive and will continue to make money. But if you're a sponsor and you're pouring money into this club for the fan base, and the fan base are not happy on live TV that is going to go around the whole country, around the world, and you see people walking out, it's detrimental, man. And you got to think, like, we saw it in 2005, we saw it in 2010. All the protests were outside. You didn't see anyone leave the stadium. If you see people now, what a statement it would be if United, it's 1-1, tense game, people walking out. It makes a statement. You can't say it doesn't. And the Glazers might not care, like you say, but when you've got TeamViewer on the phone or the next noodle market on the phone saying, why are fans walking out? Why are they so happy? I'm paying a premium to get my sponsor on the billboard every 10 seconds. There's no one there to see it.
Yeah, no, it's a fair argument. And look, nothing but respect for everyone who is going to join in on the protest, or even if someone wants to stay in the ground. Everyone's their own prerogative, and definitely no criticism to anyone involved. So fingers crossed all goes well. George here saying, I think the sponsors they have right now know what's going on. What will they think if we're in the Conference League next season? Classic Friday mornings. Yeah, I am scheduling my year ahead in regards to penciling Friday mornings as Europa League fixture kickoffs. As Larry throws in a yawn for what's that, for Europa League or Conference League? The yawn.
Oh, I think it's for all of Europe at this stage. I don't want to look at the ladder. Where do we sit now? I think we sit in 6th. If we fall any lower, it will be Conference League all day long. I've almost made peace with Europa League now. I see it as a opportunity to get into the Champions League and a trophy. Conference League, oh my gosh, it's just a nightmare. Well, you know what? We haven't won the lot because we haven't won the Conference League. So there you go.
Look, I'm still, that's the tree I'm on at the moment in regards to, I understand. And look, do I want Conference League? Of course not. But we've done the Europa League. We did that. We're back here in this position we're in. Why not go win a Conference League for the first time? Now an English club might win. I think Leicester is still in it this season, but fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. West Ham get knocked out of the Europa. I can't be having them in a European final. I hope they're obviously 2-1 down in their semi-final. Fingers crossed that stays a defeat. But I'm in the minority of not wanting the Conference League, but yeah, I'd prefer the Conference League over no European football. I don't buy more time on the training ground. That's a valid argument, but I think games is what improves and what Ten Hag will need or what he will want. But anything else to wrap up in regards to before, obviously, Tuesday morning kickoff for us here in Sydney? Anything else United related we need to touch on before the match?
No, not really. I mean, not a direct link to United, obviously, but our thoughts with Mino Raiola's family, obviously, tragic news. And out of nowhere, it has to be said. Obviously, big links in terms of Paul Pogba, but look, whatever you thought of the man, obviously, I hope he's resting in peace and has peace. And my thoughts, and I'm sure, well, both of us, on behalf of the United podcast, obviously, our thoughts with the Raiola family.
Do you think, and look, I echo your thoughts there completely, and just Trevor, do you think it changes the transfer market this window? And I know they've obviously got, Raiola would have people working for him, but I think in regards to big deals, and that's a Haaland, that's a Pogba, that's Ibrahimovic, I'm sure he's the one in there putting pen to paper and sort of involved in the discussions. Now, obviously, he's probably got someone to come in and do that for him now, but do you think it does change things?
It's a difficult one to say, to be honest. It was a very stern and good negotiator, to be honest. Like, if you think about his clientele, whatever you thought from a club perspective, selfishly, he got good deals for his clients. They're all the best paid in world football, so you can't argue with his form there. And he got himself a handsome paycheck. So where I think it will be interesting to see is in terms of this whole agent's fee and how much agents demand from a transfer deal. That will be the interesting part. I think with Raiola obviously no longer there, do we see deals maybe get done quicker? Because obviously, like, you can have an agency, you can train people, but I think Raiola had a reputation that not just because you worked for him or under his tutelage, you're not Mino Raiola. So I think in that sense, it will be interesting. But I guess it's a wait and see. And the other side of it is maybe some of these players who have been represented by Raiola, maybe they jump ship. Maybe you'll see the likes of a Paul Pogba maybe associate himself with another large agent. So maybe like a George Mendes. Like, you'd have to think these other agencies, Rio Ferdinand's obviously now an agent. So you'd have to think I know that's kind of feels awful to say out loud, but if you're looking at Mino Raiola's who has been represented by him, you'd think in these other big agents will want to be swooping in on that.
100%. And just to sort of wrap up, one last question. Obviously, well, it is Manchester United related, but sadly, kind of in a bad way. But just to wrap up the podcast on a bit of it's not a lighter note, but Matt here, Champions League, who do you prefer? Look, I prefer an all-Spanish final. I prefer Villarreal to win 3-0 in the next leg and Real Madrid to go through, and they can battle it out to be the best in Spain and in Europe. But let's say, look, very likely, well, Real Madrid is still obviously Real Madrid is the preference. Well, Villarreal, then Real Madrid. But Real Madrid are still in with a chance of beating Manchester City, but let's say likely it's going to happen, City v Liverpool. How do you sit on this situation at the moment in regards to, obviously I don't want Liverpool to win anything. However, in regards to the Champions League, let's obviously want City to win the league over Liverpool. That's not a debate. In regards to the Champions League, though, if it's Liverpool against City, if Liverpool don't win the league, if they don't win the league and City do that, I weirdly probably have Liverpool over City in the Champions League in regards to a preference, because that's something we definitely have over Manchester City. They don't have that European history. They don't have that Champions League title. And Liverpool are ahead of us anyway. So they're going to extend that lead. We're not close to them anyway. So if they were to miss out on the league, do I want Liverpool to win the Champions League? Of course not. However, I wouldn't like City doing the double and getting the league and European Cup double. That would be a tough one to take as well. So where are you sitting on that one at the moment in regards to if you had to choose one, win one, or one, win both, or...
I'm with you 100%. Liverpool not to win the league and City not to win the European Cup. So, this is where we're at.
But, look, Matt here with a surprise. And I don't know if that sounds bad coming out or if it makes any sense, but it's just an unfortunate circumstance of where we are in regards. As I said, I'm hoping
Liverpool
for an all-Spanish final.
3 ahead already. They're 3 ahead already. Might as well keep running with it. Chase Real Madrid for all I care. You know what I mean? It's City winning a European Cup would really would stamp their position on the world stage, I think. As long as that as long as that European Cup eludes them, I think we'll always have a bit of bragging rights. Look, if Liverpool, the one thing that cannot happen, if Liverpool do the treble, quadruple, whatever, like if they win the FA Cup,
Chelsea still play a
FA
huge
Cup,
part in this. Chelsea still can save us. Chelsea can
of
do the
course they
FA
can.
Cup.
Of course they can. And that's the other side. Like if Chelsea can at least win the FA Cup and Liverpool do the unthinkable and do the double, at least they won't do the treble. You know
Well,
what I
they
mean?
would
Like,
have a treble because they have the League Cup, but yes, the FA Cup is
the League
big.
Cup,
Well,
not
we
the
could
FA
put
Cup.
it down as another Mickey Mouse treble, as they did a couple of years after the real treble in '99. But look, a funny way, but a sour way to end the podcast talking about Liverpool and Champions Leagues and City and doubles in Europe. And Mike here, just to wrap up, no way I want Liverpool to have 7 Champions League titles, too
already
much
got the
bragging
bragging
rights.
rights.
Well, they've got the bragging rights over us, and of course, you're completely right, Mike, but they've got it over us anyway. I don't want City, because if City win 1, they're only 2 behind us. Chelsea, for God's sake, are only 1 European title behind us, and that I find embarrassing. But that is the time that we do live in. Hopefully Eric Ten Hag can put a stop to it and change things in the fortunes of the red side of Manchester. But Larry will be back on Tuesday night for a review, discussing... I don't know what we'll be discussing. We'll be discussing something that happened on the pitch. Just fingers crossed it's something positive for once. But pleasure as always, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. And cheers to everyone who's tuned in. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, do all the good stuff. Make me and Tom happy. It's really hard to get on these videos. As you can see, I've almost abandoned Tom here. So give us some love, please.
No, definitely. But echo his thoughts there. Appreciate everyone in the live chat. Chat to you on Tuesday. Cheers.